Hey,
Welcome to the
Jason.
M- Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the MPD podcast, a show where we dig into what's actually working or not when it comes to scaling businesses with the people who've been there. Today's guest is definitely there right now. So why don't you take it away, introduce yourself, tell us about what you've done and where you're at.
Thanks, Jason. My name is Aaron Joachim. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Partnerships at JOBZ. That's JOBZ. Our website is jobshr, jobzhr.com. We are a B2B AI recruiting platform. What we do is we make it super easy to sell, screen, and source for any role at the click of a button in one place. And that's what we offer with our web platform for any hiring team. And we have kind of a supportive mobile app too that allows any hiring team to sort of swipe through candidates and kind of do discovery on candidates kind of on the go. Uh, it's an all-in-one platform, so we have analytics, sourcing, deep AI insights, and the ability to integrate video into one place. So that's what we offer to our customers.
Awesome. And so with that, what are when you're working with these different companies and the HR teams, what do you think what are things that you see them struggling with that you're able to help them set up a proper process for that recruiting flow?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really great question. So, and it kind of runs the gamut, right? But I think there's kind of like a couple high level categories, and I'll just run through them really quickly. A lot of companies right now are struggling with, especially bigger companies like we talk to a lot of like call centers and places that have sort of like large sales teams. They're struggling with attracting the right candidates, right? So they might get a lot of candidates out there who are using AI tools, and they're sort of throwing out like a really really broad brushstroke to jobs, and they're not necessarily reading those job descriptions. And part of the reason they're not reading those job descriptions is because job descriptions are often written in legalese. They're written with AI
Mhm.
in a way that doesn't necessarily like translate. Like, what exactly am I doing? Um, there's a lot of like sort of standard bullet points, waivers, advisories, things like that. So, what people are really looking for is the the brass tacks. Like, what is it that I'm exactly going to be doing, and who am I going to be working for? And so, one of the things that we do in terms of like the selling of roles is we help facilitate a video introduction from the hiring team, the hiring manager, especially. We've heard candidates say that it's really impactful for them to be able to see who they're going to work with, and then hear them like in a minute or two describe exactly like what kind of applicant is going to thrive in that role, what kind of candidate will be a good fit, what they would be doing on a day-to-day basis. And what that does is early on, it encourages like a really good match and a good fit. The people who should be applying to that job do at a much higher engagement rate, sometimes 10 times higher engagement rate than just with text. And so by facilitating, kind of video selling and video outreach for those roles, earlier on in the funnel, you're getting a better fit with candidates, selling the role really well, and also that kind of like fit and early, kind of uh, culture selling means that there's less churn later on in sort of like high volume hiring. So the selling is a really important part that a lot of businesses are struggling with. The other thing that's huge right now is the screening part, right? So we kind of see ourselves in a little bit of like an AI Cold War. You've got businesses who are automating a lot of the early parts of their funnel. They're doing kind of like pre-screening with tools that are really alienating to candidates, like avatars, or really, really sort of like brute kind of sort of non-surgical ATS keyword screens,
Mhm.
which are sort of like very alienating to the candidate experience, and they're kind of like focused on um, who can I cut as soon as possible? Like, how can I take my 1,000 applicants and whittle that down to 100? I'm not focused on finding the diamonds in the rough. I'm not focused on finding matches. I'm focused on getting my sort of candidate pool down to a manageable size so that we can, do the manual things that we typically do in terms of like resume screening. And we think that that needs to be sort of turned on its head. It actually
Mhm.
needs to be sort of like much more focused on finding matches, much more focused on sorting cues instead of sort of cutting people out. Because we all of us at our company have worked with people who, if we had just hired them based on their resume, would have never gotten hired. But when we were able to sort of like look beyond the resume, either by hearing their story or by understanding sort of like context that we get from the AI insights on our platform, we would have known that they are actually good fits, good matches for the role. And so our platform screens with deep AI insights using kind of an approach that we don't see out there in the market with sort of other competitors, other especially with the ATSs that are using sort of like keyword focused technology. So we screen in a way that is really empowering for recruiters, helps them kind of cut through the noise very quickly while still maintaining like a connection to the best matches. And then the last thing is sourcing, right? Sourcing is really hard for a lot of businesses. It's especially if you're looking for technical roles or sometimes even still like customer facing roles. The best people are those who are already at another job, and so you actually have to go out and find them, right? And
Poaching.
yeah, sometimes it's poaching. Sometimes it's simply just like communicating and creating a network and
Tactful
creating a community
communication. Yeah.
tactfully. Yeah. And what we've done is we've created a workflow in our platform that, rather than that being something that has to be manually done via email or via LinkedIn or via lots of other channels, with one click of a button, people can do that. So you know that that ethos kind of like reflected in the way that we solve those three major problems of selling the roles, screening for the roles, and sourcing for the roles is really reflective of kind of like just a nugget that we say a lot, which is use AI to source and screen in such a way so that you can interview like a human. So we basically optimize the top of funnel in such a way that you have really really good fits for those early interviews, and then we hopefully unlock the ability for businesses, for hiring teams to treat their candidates in like a highly engaged, highly selling kind of way, so that you get the best candidates and you get them really quickly. We all know that actually that speed is another killer in the recruiting pool. It's like the best candidates don't want to wait around,
Mm.
especially if they've already got something going. They're not going to stick around for lots and lots and lots of screenings and lots of interviews. So the quicker you can get to those best matches, the quicker you can entice the best fits, uh, more effectively you can sell early on with a really authentic communication. That's something that we can do on our platform, and that's something that addresses the three sort of key problems that we're seeing out there in HR, Jason.
Yeah, and that first one, I think about when I was looking for positions at companies. I A lot of times I didn't know who the hiring manager was until like the second or third interview. And you're going through and you're like, well, this is a job position. All right. You get to the first interview. Hey, how much are you paying? Oh, well, we don't discuss that yet. We're just trying to see if you're a right fit. Then you get to the second one and you're like, well, how much are you paying? And they're like, oh, they tell you, you're like, well, that's outside the range that I said I was looking for, but you kept me on this process. And you're like, well, maybe I'll go to the next one. Then you go to the next one, the hiring manager, you're like, I don't even like, I would never even try to get this job if I knew who this person was, and then I just wasted all this time going through that process. I think it's great. Um, to go through and see and hear them say exactly what they're looking for, because you're like, wow, I could really work with that person. Or you go, I would never work well. Like instantly, so you're out. I think that's great. The second part of it was the uh,
Screening.
screening. Yeah, it's a game, right? Like, how can we get rid of all these resumes, whittle it down to the top schools, the top Ivy League schools, and then talk to those candidates? It feels like a lot of times, and you miss a lot of good opportunity. Because I didn't go to Ivy League, but I worked, at Disney and MySpace and some other top tier or multinationals in very particular roles with people from Harvard and people from other Ivy League and you're like, they don't they're book smart, but they miss a lot of these other attributes that they could have had that you could have really sourced out. So like they're missing that collaboration because they're just looking based on kind of pedigree. So being able to do that's a big thing as well too, right?
Missing. So we all know that experience is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But there's also things that you can't capture from a resume, which like
Hmm.
charisma.
Hmm.
enthusiasm, hard work. Do I see this
Leadership. Yeah.
person? Yeah, leadership. Those are qualities that like you have to find new ways to identify, right? So it's either through videos or it's either through context, right? If
You ever
you
use a disc assessment? I love the disc assessment.
So we have looked at using some of those assessments on
Uh,
our platform, and it is something that's in our medium term roadmap to be able to connect either through API or sort of integrate it natively into our platform. We think that that's important, right? Like the other piece of this is, I'll tell you a story. Like my partner and I, we both worked with somebody who had come from a totally different industry. Um, so we were both working kind of like a managing a large sales team in the prop tech space before we entered this kind of domain. And one of our best salespeople was somebody who came from being a flight attendant. Now you don't necessarily connect flight
would
attendants
not
to
connect
prop
that
tech,
dot. Yeah. But I could
but
see customer service based. Like I could see a lot of attributes from
yeah,
that.
you start to think about whether that person would have gotten cut or flagged from sort of like an old style
They would have never
keyword,
been looked at. Never been looked at.
yeah, but actually her charisma, her ability to connect with people, her patience with dealing with, customers who
Hmm.
needed more explanation, she was the best at that. And that's why she was, the best at the sales team. The other thing that's really, really important that comes up a lot when you're talking about AI is this sense that AI has a bias. And so, what we forget is that, sure, AI is not perfect, but so humans aren't perfect either. And so I'll say one of the things that I'm really proud of is when you optimize AI for skills-based hiring, what that does is it ignores the things that affect us all, even in silent biases. Like, does this person have an accent? Does this person come from a certain part of the country
Their name.
that their name? Yeah, exactly. They have all those studies about last names or certain first names will,
Yep. Yep.
less or more likely to get you an interview. There are a lot of underrepresented communities that have really, really good talent that could do a job really well, that could expand your business's market by connecting with new markets, especially in sales roles or in customer facing roles that a lot of businesses are missing out on hiring because of biases that they may not even know about. So
Yeah.
AI neutralizes a lot of those and levels the playing field, gets people more looks based on skills and based on sort of that raw talent. And we're really proud, that that's a important part of our platform.
I think it's great. I think marrying the non-personalized AI part with the personalized human interaction is the big key here because human interaction is not going away right now, right? And people want to speak to a human to understand that they're interacting with one at certain points within the process, but using AI to get to a point to eliminate bias, to find the ideal candidate so that way you can have that human interaction, I think is a huge deal.
We actually wrote a book about it. I know this sounds crazy, but so we started out on this role because in this kind of like road because we're marketplace builders. We started to see the at the beginning when we came out of this, we said this is a marketplace. It's hiring managers and recruiters on one side, and applicants, candidates on the other side. We can take some of the things that we know about marketplaces and apply them to this like, huge
Hmm.
problem. And what we found out is it's way different from other marketplaces where you're looking at fungible assets. People are unique.
Hmm.
And so we wrote and hiring managers and recruiters are unique too, right?
Yeah.
And so we wrote a book called Humane Recruiting. You actually buy it on Amazon right now. We have distilled down our learnings about what should be automated with AI and what needs to be, again, from a humane perspective, we need to double down on certain things
Hmm.
and give recruiters and hiring teams the space to return to the most fundamental human things, not just because that's what creates a more efficient and more loyal, more effective, more productive talent funnel, but it's also more enjoyable for the hiring teams. This is
Yeah.
skills that they naturally gravitated to when they signed on to become a recruiter, signed on to become a talent acquisition partner. So this is something that really really excites us. We feel really passionate about.
Awesome. Awesome. And if someone's trying to scale right now, what's one piece of advice you wish you had earlier that you could provide to them?
Jason, I love this question. Yeah, so we're a early stage startup. What we have found, I'll distill it in a nutshell, is you need to find the channel that connects quickly and is sort of like most responded to. For us, Hack has been really focusing on LinkedIn. So we do cold email automation. We use Apollo. Apollo has been really helpful for us. We do like a lot of the insights and information that we get from Apollo. But and this is something that you can automate through Apollo. The LinkedIn outreach for us has been the most productive channel uh, to get demos, to get pitch calls, to connect with decision makers. A really really important thing is use LinkedIn connection requests with short messages. Right now, a lot of what I see, actually, I receive a lot of these messages, is LinkedIn outreach where they do a connection request with no message. It's just like a
Hmm.
shot in the dark. I have no idea who you are. Why
Yeah.
are you reaching out? And I also see a lot of LinkedIn messages that are followed by an email that looks like a copy and paste of like, a book about,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
an essay about what their business does. Everything I needed to know, it's like their entire website transcribed. That's also not effective. I think the most effective is use the LinkedIn connection request note feature that limits you to 300 characters. That forces you to have a little bit of discipline in your message because you have 5 seconds to capture my attention.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me like why should we talk? And I find that when people sort of respect that 300 character space, they get down to the point and it's somewhat personalized or at least somewhat feels like it wasn't copy and pasted. I tend to
Yeah.
respond more positively to those, and we've found it bear out in our scaling that's been the most effective channel for us to scale sales.
Awesome. And where can people connect with you or learn more about what you're doing?
So our website is JOBZHR, JOBZHR.com. We're really, really active on LinkedIn as well. That's a really great place to, follow us and kind of learn more about when we're doing product rollouts. We put a lot of literature out there about our approach and, love connecting, with potential users and customers there. So LinkedIn is a great place. Or, find us on our website. We have two demos available. We have a demo on the web and a demo on our mobile app. You can download our app today and poke around from Google Play or the App Store, and those are the best places to find us. So,
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time.
Jason, thanks so much. This was really fun. Have a great
Awesome.
day.
Okay.